That was way easier than I expected. So I need to take just over 8 inches off this bench for it to fit in my shop. And it's just way too deep. It's a 30-inch deep bench. And I was going to cut it down, but there is, I don't know if you can see that, there's a seam in the butcher block right about where I need to cut it, and it's already has a little bit of a crack to it. It's separating a little bit there along the seam, so I'm just going to see, just going to try something real quick.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm an idiot. I set the saw depth before I put it in the jig. So one more cut. Accidentally left a sliver between the boards, but it's coming right off. Just look how saturated this bench is with oil. Goes all the way through from the top. Alright, now you have a much more manageable size for the bench. It's going to fit my space a lot better. It is now 46 by 21 1/4. So with the sides on, it's going to be just under, it's going to be like 47.5 by 22, just about. So I think that's going to be a good size, reasonable size compared to the 30 by 5 foot that it was, 30 by 60. So much better size. Shame to have to cut it, but limited in space. Not great, but not bad for a quick fit, and better than the original other side. So I'm gonna live with that. Here's where we're at. So all cut down, fits together. Some flush here, and there's a new joint, pretty clean. So now I just need to do a little round over here, and then figure out what kind of, if I want to sand this down or strip the paint. Gotta figure out what kind of treatment I want on there. But so far so good. I'm really trying to avoid sanding the workbench. I want to leave the kind of weathered patina, but I want it to be clean and to show, you know, the different layers of maple. So I experimented on this cutoff with just some mineral spirits with some Scotch-Brite, and it seems to be working pretty well. If I sand it, all these little dents are going to be dark spots, and it's just not going to look right. You'll never get a consistent finish. So it's better to keep the patina as best I can, and I kind of like that dark wood color anyway. So I'm going to start with the mineral spirits and see how that looks. So it's a pretty good improvement. I'm going to stop here for now because I have to do got some paint to remove here and on the side, and I need more paint stripper. I also think I should probably, I'm sure this is stable. I don't want to mess anymore with the finish until I get the all thread or the bolts back in. So I have to make new bolt holes somehow, and then put it back in here. So for now, I'm going to stop here. So I got the rod all the way through. Naturally the The holes didn't line up perfectly, but that would be a tall order. So I got close enough, and I'm happy with that. So probably hammer it through a few more times just to widen it up a little bit, but gonna work. Didn't quite get a good alignment on this one. You can just see through it. So I'm gonna try something really goofy. See if I can open it up a little bit and realign it in the center. So we got 2 extenders and a spade bit. This is too dumb not to work. Much better. Alright, that worked. I was able to widen it just enough. I could chisel it out by hammering these through a couple times, and now it fits. I'm a little bit concerned that both of the holes I made are too tight since I have to hammer the rod through. The original hole has a lot of slop in it, and I'm guessing that might be potentially, obviously, for wood movement. If the wood can't move a little bit around the rod, it's probably going to split in that spot. So I might invest in the next size up drill just to get these a little bit looser so I don't have to think about it. I think it'll be fine, but I'll probably do that. And then I just have to cut this down and then rethread the end. So I'll cut this to length, which will be a little bit shorter than it needs to be so it can be clamped, and I'll thread the side that I cut. Unfortunately, I've come to the conclusion that I will have to sand this top. It's just too dark and it's never going to have a consistent color, and also it's so saturated with oil I can't add any finish the way it is without giving it some tooth or getting past a little bit of this dirt and grime. So I'm gonna have to sand it. Didn't want to do that, but you know, I was worried once you start sanding you can't go back and I could have an even worse finish. At least I know what this is. So I've done a test on the cutoff piece and it still has, you know, a really nice patina, some dark pits. You know, shows its age, but I think it will look a lot better. So I just did that quickly with a belt sander. You can see the contrast, and I think with a little finish on this, it'll actually look pretty good. And it won't look brand new, won't look its age, but it will be serviceable and have a nice contrast with the base. So that's the plan. And also I had to sand the sides, so I mean that wouldn't look very good. And that looks a bit better. So still some sanding to do on this, and then I'll also get to work on this.